Now, there could be few times in the history of Parliament where MPs have faced two such difficult issues as Iraq and Brexit. And they have parallels. For Iraq, those of us who voted against it were continually leaned on by the executive and told if only we knew what they knew, we would vote for invasion of Iraq. It turned out to be one of the biggest foreign policy disasters that this country has known. And I fear Brexit will follow, becoming one of the biggest domestic policy disasters that this country has known. Now, earlier in this debate, the Honourable Member for South Holland and the Deepings quoted Disraeli. I think if Disraeli came back in this House now, he'd be struck not by the differences, but by the similarities. There are huge divisions in this country now. Two of the great novels of the 19th century, Sybil and Coningsby, explained those huge divisions and what it meant to this country and what it meant to the poor of this country. Now, I can disagree with the Honourable Member for Bournemouth West, but I share his analysis. Why did people vote for Brexit? They voted for Brexit because of austerity. They felt they'd been left behind. They felt that they had been ignored. And it didn't have to be that way. Other countries within the EU chose a different route. The Portuguese, in particular, under the government of Antonio Costa, chose to take on the Troika, who came in and told them they were bankrupt and they would have to cut and cut and cut more. And they chose not to. And they've taken them on, and that country has recovered more quickly than any other in the southern European countries. And that is why Brexit is such a poisonous debate. Now, I believe that the Prime Minister's deal is the wrong deal. As I said earlier, we're given a false perspective. The idea it's my deal or no deal is completely wrong. We should reject this deal. We should recognise that this is a race to the bottom. And as the Honourable Member for Edinburgh North and Leith said, this magical idea that somehow WTO rules are going to be so good for us as an economy, well, you need to know what they involve. You need to look at the economic underpinning and what that will require us to do. It isn't the salvation. That's why we must rule out no deal. We must obviously vote against the Prime Minister's deal, but then we've got to come back with something substantive, and we will have to test that electorally. Personally, I want that to be by a general election. But if we're driven towards a referendum, much as I hate referendums, that is something we will have to face up to try and bring this country back together again, because the divisions have been made so great and the policies have been wrong, and we need to recognise that and do something about it.